Hello everyone. Today we will continue our journey together to learn programming without coding technology. At first, let us start by creating a simple program that prints some message on the screen. Also, we will define a function called test that print a message hello from test like this. Now, when we run this program, we will just see the first message, hello world, and we will not see the second message because we have to call the function first. So we will call our function test like this. We don't need to add anything after the function name. And now run. What will happen if I defined a function called main? This is the lesson that we would like to learn today. When we define a function called main, this function will be executed automatically after executing the main statements in the program. So when I use the print text component and type hello from main like this, and when I run the program, I will see the message. How this happens? I just call test. This happens because the Ring programming language will call the main function automatically after calling the main statements of the program. So we can use this idea to start our program directly from the main function. Say I will go to functions here and I will define a function called main like this, and I will type say hello world. Now run. Okay, what is the benefit of this idea? The benefit of this idea is to use the local scope inside the function instead of just typing the statements directly and using the global scope. So what is the global scope and what is the local scope? The global scope is the contains the shared variables between our program functions and files. Say I defined a variable using the assignment component, and this variable called like x, and the value is 10. I can from the main function print the value of x like this as expression, and I will see the result. And if I defined another function that called test and printed the same variable and called test like this, it will also print the value of the variable because it is a shared variable. And this global variable can be modified from different functions. I can come here and say let x equal 20. Now when I print x after calling the test function as we do here in the main function, I will see 20. Now if I modified x inside the main function to be 30 like this, then called the test function, it will print 30 because the x variable is changed to 30. And during this function, it will modify x to 20. And if I printed x again, after calling the function, I will get 20. So what is the point? The point is global variables are shared between different functions inside our program. And each function can read the value of the global variable and can modify it too. So this is very important lesson to know. Also, we can define local variables inside functions. The local variable is any new variable defined inside the function which is not defined before as a global variable. Say I defined a variable like y, and this y equal say 50 like this. If I try to print the variable y from the main function, I cannot print it. I will get an error message because this variable does not exist in the main function, it just exists in the test function. So when we run, we will get error that we don't have this variable. But if I printed this variable value inside the test function, I can print it and get the 50 value like this. So we can use try catch here, and we can try to print y, and we cannot print it, so we can print a message like we cannot access the y variable to know about this. So what we learned now? We learned we can define a global variable like x and use it from different functions. And if we defined a variable inside a function and this variable is not defined as a global variable, then it will be a local variable and we cannot access it from other places in the program. We just access it inside the function that is already defined the variable. So we defined y and we can print y from the test function, but we cannot access this y variable from the main function. This is an important lesson to know about global variables and local variables. So what we learned today? We learned about the main function and we learned about global and local variables. Another thing to learn is what is the default value or output of our function. Say we defined a function called test, and this function just print a message test, and when we call it, what will be the output? Say I called function test and the output exists inside my variable like this. Now when we run, we see the test message and the output will be just an empty string that will exist inside my variable. In the ring language, we call this empty string a null. Say I would like to print my variable, it will just print this empty string like this, where I don't see it, just we have new line. And to be sure about this, we can just print an expression if my variable equal null. As we said, null is just an empty string. And now when we run, we get number 1, which means true. What if we use just an empty string like this? And we run, we get another one, which is true. And what if we used like null equal an empty string like this? We get also 1. So if the function doesn't return a value, it will just return an empty string that we can test using the null variable. So this is enough for now. We learned about the main function, we learned about the global and the local scope, we learned about the default output of our functions. And see you in our next lesson.